hackathon number 58.
Hello and welcome to this. We know what we're doing. Hello.
Yeah.
To
No,
this.
totally. Always.
SlimDevOps episode 58. Now you want to pay close attention today, people. It's getting serious.
Yeah.
We've got some interesting news to share today, and I'm sure many of you would be prime candidates to join us in a new experiment that we're running. But before we get into that, hello Pete, it's good to see you again.
Hey Martin, good to see you too. I feel like my camera's a little messed up. I think something's going on with my camera where it's kind of like reverse streaming or something, so I might have to fix it for the next stream or something, but we'll see. We'll power through it today.
Okay.
Yeah, if people on stream are seeing me be kind of blurry, let me know. I'll see if I can fix it while we're talking. But
all right.
Yeah, things are good. We're just it's crunch time here around Slim.AI right now. There's a lot of stuff happening. So
what is this stuff that's happening?
What
have you been up to?
I know. I feel like this is kind of like a one-on-one meeting for us, because I haven't really been working on all this hackathon stuff, and I've been working on everything else that's going on for KubeCon, and so we're kind of just getting caught up for the first time here. We've got a big industry conference coming up next week, which is called KubeCon. It's the Cloud Native Computing Foundation and the Linux Foundation put on this thing. It's centered around Kubernetes, obviously, and it's kind of like a big event for us every year, the 2 years that Slim.AI has been in existence. But yeah, we just have a lot that goes on. And this year, some really exciting stuff, actually. Our colleague Aisha, who has been on the stream and talked about things like the container report, she is actually presenting some of the data from this year's container report on the keynote stage. So that's been super fun to be working on. She's an amazing, awesome speaker. So for people that are either going to be at KubeCon or I think we're going to be giving away some virtual tickets in our Discord channel. I know most of the people on the stream are in our Discord channel, so if you want to check it out virtually, she's got a really, really great presentation. Been working with her on that. She's been, I think last we looked, we were up over 29 gigabytes of JSON data related to containers. That's not container data, that is JSON data related to containers. So it's been pretty fun. And then we release our container report every year on the top public containers. A lot of the same stuff that we look at on this show, which is like, what's inside these containers? How do you use them? What are some of the more popular containers? How do you build applications into containers? And what types of security best practices, vulnerability reports, other things do you need to know about those containers? So we'll be releasing our report next Tuesday, and I'm just going through the findings now, and there's some eye-opening stuff for sure. We'll go through it on stream, I'm sure, at some point, but it's a good read, and it's pretty eye-opening about what the world looks like for today and containers among developers.
So this report, so Aisha did the first report of this kind this time last year, in time for KubeCon last year. And I had the opportunity to interview Aisha and sort of dig into that. And for the remainder of the year, I have been citing her discoveries and analysis from last year's report all the way through. And it informed sort of some talks that I've given at conferences this year in terms of where to focus my attention in terms of highlighting where the security gotchas are that people are clearly not paying close attention to. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing this year's talk, and also the distillation of that 29 gigabytes of JSON data into some pretty visualizations.
No, it's really cool. And then we actually have a couple other talks. Mitranjay Sharma, who is on our developer experience team. So he works primarily on Docker Slim, and he goes and gives a bunch of talks. He's actually going to be getting into Caverno, which is, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but it's an open source project that's run by the CNCF, and it's basically a policy engine. So before your containers or whatever you need get to Kubernetes, you can make certain rules, like you don't want any containers running as root, you don't want these things. I hope I'm explaining Kyverno right, because I really actually need to go to Mitranjay's talk and hear more about it. But he's going to be presenting with a team from, I believe it's Nirmata Data, who's a company that really focuses on kind of that open source technology. And he's going to be using Docker Slim, our open source project, to generate those AppArmor and SecComp profiles that we talk about that you can use to, sort of drive some of the behavior in Kyverno. So it's going to be a pretty cool talk. That's at Cloud Native Security Day, which is on Monday. It's one of the day 0 events. But yeah, that one should be really good too, and just helpful for developers to better understand those technologies.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be around for KubeCon, which is a bit disappointing. But such is the way of the world, and the way that schedules and conferences align with school holidays and what have you. So I'm a bit sad to miss it, because I really last year was, obviously, this is KubeCon USA, of course. And last year that was almost an entirely virtual event. I think at the last moment there was some health concerns in North America, and the sort of the event was sort of scaled back a little bit at the last moment. But I think last year there was over 20,000 virtual attendees. And what I'm learning this year is, I think the split is about 10,000 between in-person attendees and virtual attendees for this event this year, which boggles my mind, because I was at KubeCon in Valencia and I think we were pushing about 5,000 people in Valencia. And that felt, I mean, after so many years, locked away in a cupboard on your own, that's a lot of people to be dealing with.
Yeah, I know. Last year, I think they estimated about 4,000 people in person at KubeCon North America last year in Los Angeles, and that felt like a lot of people. This will be even more. So a couple things, like we'll be at our booth, SU64. So if people are there, please come say hi. There'll be a number of people who we've had on stream here before who will be there from our engineering team. So Kyle Quest, our CTO, will be there. He'll be kicking around. I'm sure he'll be going to different talks and whatnot. Ian Juma, who came on and did our Go Redis kind of Docker Compose example, he's actually coming over. That's going to be really fun to meet him in person.
That's
I've never
great.
met him in person. Yeah, so that'll be great. And then, Kelsey Hightower, who we've had on stream here before, I think last KubeCon. He's going to be at our booth.
It was last KubeCon, yeah.
Yeah, which is great. And he's awesome. He's one of our advisors. I mean, obviously everybody knows who Kelsey Hightower is. But he's going to be doing a book signing at our booth on Wednesday at 1 p.m., which will be great. So if you want to meet us, just come by SU64. We'll have books for Kelsey to sign. We'll be hanging out. We have Slim swag, of course, and all of that. And keep an eye out on the Discord for virtual tickets if you guys can't make it. So,
and on the swag front, I hear that we've not rested on our laurels, despite being told we had the best stickers at KubeCon Europe in Valencia. My understanding is we've taken our sticker game to a whole new level, and we're gonna ace it again.
We're trying. So, we've been having some fun with some of the Cody stickers on social media. And we actually, one of the fun things, I think Steven talked about it yesterday, is we're also going to be launching a whole new website as part of KubeCon.
Right.
With a bunch of new stuff. I think maybe we'll just take a dip at that. It's a little too much to cover on this stream. And I want to ask you about the hackathon. But so plenty of stuff going on. And it'll be a busy week, and it's been a busy week. So
it is busy times. I mean, it is, we have these little spurts of like conference seasons throughout the year, and this is definitely one of them. I'd also just like to take a moment to welcome back all of the friends of Slim who have joined us in chat today. So welcome back, Eric and Danny. Your ears will be burning in just a moment, because we're going to be talking about something the two of you are both involved in that you're helping us with, so thank you for that, and we'll be sharing that with everyone. Welcome back, Yannick. Are you seeing high fidelity internet for the first time? I understand you've just had you've been hooked up to fiber or something. I'm a little bit envious of the bandwidth charts you were sharing earlier.
I know. I'm a little embarrassed because my camera can't seem to figure out its focus, Yannick. I want to show you what fiber can do. I've got this nice camera and all that, and I can't seem to figure out how to focus. So.
unfortunately, my camera is in focus, but I have a face for radio, so it's it's not really what Yannick wants to be looking at, I'm sure. Right. Okay. So yes, we've been working on something else. This is an initiative that has been largely driven by Lindsay, who I think is in chat with us today, and this is the Slim.AI hackathon. So, well, I mean, what do you know of this event so far, Pete?
Well, I know we've had a lot of people dropping into our Discord recently, and most of them are interested in the hackathon. I know we have quite a few signups for this already. Yeah. I know there's a number of teams and individuals that have signed up for it already. That's about the extent of what I know. So welcome to everybody, who joined us from our Discord and wants to hear more about this. If you click the follow button on your Twitch, you'll get notifications about when we go live, obviously. If you're interested in the hackathon, the link to our Discord's at Slim.AI, and you can join there and hear more about it. But that's as much as I know, Martin. Tell me all about it.
Okay. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is share the link with chat. So instead of just looking at my screen, people can go off and have a little look and a peruse. So yes, we announced this hackathon on Monday this week. The submissions start to open soon. So starting next Monday is when the event proper starts, and it's an extended hackathon. So it's going to be running from October 24th to December the 5th. And already we've had nearly 30 people sign up to participate in this event. And I've seen, I think, about 4 or 5 that are already started, that have got actual projects underway already. So the whole idea here is to sort of promote the idea of creating slim and secure and production ready containers. It could be a web app, that would be interesting because you've got lots of opportunity for visual flair there, but it could also be an opportunity to do something interesting with some microservices or an API or some kind of integration. But the whole idea is we've got a suite of tools available that can help you take your production container game to a new level. So what we're trying to do is encourage you to use all of that tooling that you have available to really sort of level up. And Stephen yesterday was talking about the starter kits that he's been working on. Those will be releasing soon, and some of those will be helpful, for people that are finding their way with some of this for the first time. But we have prize money available. So I think first prize is $3,000. I think I'm right in saying that, or is it 2.5? I forget which it is. But we have prize money available. So if you put the effort in and you win, it could well be worth your while. Nice. And I think by the time all of the submissions have been in, and we're going to sort of assess them on a number of criteria, and I thought that would be useful to sort of go over sort of what we're looking for ideas that will impress the judges, or projects that might impress the judges to put you in a good place. Yes, the grand prize is $3,000. Thank you, Lindsay, for confirming that. So Lindsay, who's worked very hard on this with Stephen, is confirming that's the top prize money there. So definitely, I know there are a number of developers in the chat here. And I know there are a number of developers in the chat here who haven't necessarily fully committed to sort of a cloud native developer workflow. So if ever there was inspiration or motivation to sort of drive you forward, I know there's several of you that could be in with a shout of coming up with something interesting with this project here.
Well, it sounds really cool. I know Mac, who is in chat, he and I and Stephen were kind of talking about this. We were working on this project that was Mac's brainchild, and he did most of the work, almost all of the work on it. I think I maybe answered a few Discord questions for him, probably incorrectly. But with this very similar concept where it was, hey, let's build an application, then let's put it in a container, then let's use the Slim tools to understand that container, make it secure, get it ready for production, kind of slim it down, see what all that looks like. and then, we'll put it up on Google Cloud or wherever we wanted to host it. And so it's kind of it's just a cool way to start trying an app and getting to know, DevOps stuff like CI/CD, get to know things like containers. I see Yannick says, I don't know anything about Docker. This is a great time to learn that, right?
Yeah.
So as judges, and I know a number of the judges are in chat and we'll be getting to know them over time, but like, what are the judges going to be looking for? What's a good project versus like a sufficient project? What kind of gets people over the line?
So we've got some ideas. We don't want to steer like the creative direction of what people create, but we have made it very clear here that an important part of our scoring criteria is how secure and production ready your app is. Now, I have presented a 5 best security practices for your production ready containers here on this stream, so that's archived in our YouTube videos. I think what I'm going to be doing is, although I'm going to be away for a few days, when I get back I'm going to be doing a series of streams and office hours in our Discord to sort of give some pointers about the things you could be considering to level up, like what your submission looks like. But clearly what we're really focused on here is secure production ready containers. So when all things are equal, if you've got some design flair and some innovative ideas in terms of the app you've created, and somebody else has exhibited some considerable flair as well, if one of those projects is optimized, hardened, demonstrably adheres to best practice and best container best practice, then that's going to get a boost in the scoring from the judges.
Yep, that makes total sense. So,
and so, one of the things we're going to be looking for as well is, I know October the 31st, put a note in your diaries, everyone. We're going to be doing another Halloween special, and we're going to be doing something to do with hunting for secrets in containers. A bit like we did last year, but this is to sort of complement our tools that allow you to do vulnerability analysis. So, if you make use of all of the Slim.AI and Docker Slim tooling, then you should be able to demonstrate and produce hardened production ready containers, and that's the sort of thing we're looking for here. So not just an amazing app, but also amazing deployment criteria.
Right. And yeah, you mentioned the Slim kit, the starter kits before that we're going to put on the website. And so maybe we can take some time in future streams as people are kind of getting into the hackathon. The cool thing about those is they sort of start at each different framework. So we have one for, like Node.js or JavaScript style things, like Corazin uses, that as kind of his primary framework.
Yeah.
We have one for Python. We have one for Ruby. We have one for .NET. We have one for I think Steven's working on Rust. We have one
Golang as well, I think. Yeah.
Yep. So those will just like get people started and kind of teach you about sort of the slimming process so that you can kind of like, you go work on the app the way you want it. And then hopefully you can meet those starter kits when you're ready to start the, putting it in a container and then, getting it ready for production. Hopefully will make things easy for us. So.
And I saw a comment from Yannick who said, I don't know jack about Docker, so I think what Yannick's doing here is voting himself off of Love Island. But this doesn't have to be an individual event. So Yannick, you could take some of your creative flair and match that up with another developer that has maybe got some of the more container related skills, and then between the two of you, or maybe a smaller team, you could collaborate on something. Now, I know what Yannick's thinking. Yannick's thinking, Danny's here in chat, and Danny is proper expert at container stuff. I should team up with Danny. Well, unfortunately, you can't do that because one of our judges is in fact Danny, and also Eric, who goes by our podcast in chat, is also one of our judges. So by way of our community, in fact, three of our community are here with us today. So Danny, Eric, and Monica are all in chat. Monica goes by Community Tea Time in the chat. They are all judges, and what we've done is we've put together a team of judges that have skills in different parts of sort of the cloud native and data science, AI, ML, container industry, so they can all bring something different to the judging table. And I'm just there to look pretty.
Ringleader. Yeah, no, that sounds really cool. And I think like a Flutter app driven by some, Go-based or Rust-based microservices or Python-based microservices, pulling some ML style, recommendation engines. Yannick, I think it's just what you need for your app,
I mean, Yannick tells me he likes Go and he loves Flutter, so I feel like that's a match made in heaven somewhere. You just need to find a friendly neighborhood container expert to turn this into a prize win, a hackathon winning entry.
Yeah, and I don't want to give away any ideas, but I'm just saying if you look back a few streams to kind of right before I went out on paternity leave, we did a Scotch recommendation engine. And knowing that we're all tea drinkers now, and I'm drinking my tea, I know you have yours, we have community tea time. I know Mac is a Lipton drinker. He will talk to you about Lipton. Maybe we need a tea recommender. So it's just a free idea. I'm not part of the judging crew, so take it for what it's worth. It might be a terrible idea, but a tea recommendation engine?
Tea is extremely popular. On my own streams, we have a couple of tea experts. Monica, who's here with us today, and also Paul, who's a community member over on my streams, and he is also another tea expert. And we got into this long debate about perfect cups of tea, and Paul wrote up a blog post, which is, his top tea recommendations with links to Tea Direct to buy these teas. And we're going to start, doing tea tasting as part of our morning ritual when we get up. So yeah, it's a real thing. And Mac, I approve of your choice. I am also a keen Lipton drinker as well. My personal favorite is peach.
Nice.
So
nice.
And also Yannick
what
mentioned
about...
go on.
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was going to say Yannick mentioned Docker. Yannick mentioned Docker as well. Docker is one of the tools you can use, but so long as your container is OCI compliant, we're not stipulating you have to use Docker. In fact, we're not stipulating any of the tools. We're just trying to see who can make an amazing app that's extremely well put together.
Yes. I was just going to ask about timing. So I know that this page has been live it went live Monday, I believe.
A few days, it went live on Monday.
And how long do people have? I think somebody mentioned in the chat.
Yeah, I thought that was on this page. I thought there was a breakdown of the dates. Let me just check. Projects.
Oh yeah, there it is on the right there. October 24th.
Oh, the schedule. This is
5th.
it. Here we go.
There you go.
So, submissions. You can start submitting from October the 24th up until the 5th of December at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is their time in Boston, America, or New York. So that gives you. So for us of us in Europe, we get to roll over into December the 6th a little bit. So if you're late with your homework, you've got some wiggle room. And then judging will commence on December the 6th and conclude on December the 15th. And the winners will be announced on December the 19th. So that could be a nice little windfall just before Christmas for, successful projects.
Yep. Eric points out that that midnight would be too late. So no 11:59 club. You got to be, gotta be on time. So... okay, well, that's wonderful. That sounds really fun. And then what's our plan between then? Are we going to have people on to kind of share different project ideas? Are you and I going to try to practice one? I know we're still doing our Docker hackathon, which we're going to start on Monday. But what's the stream going to look like in terms of supporting the hackathon?
So next week, Big Pod is going to be doing some bits to sort of kick the event off. When I'm back, we're going to do a lot of ad hoc stand-up streams and what have you to support this event. So above my head is our website. On that website, you will find a link to the Discord, and it's also the link to the Discord is also in, if I can push the right button, is also in this hackathon URL. You'll find the Discord link here. That will take you into the hackathon channel in our Discord. So when I return, I'm hoping to do a stream every other day to maybe show you something on the platform that it would be useful in making your submission more optimal. I am hoping that over the course of the hackathon, we will be able to get some time with each of the judges to have a little talk to them and talk through, you know, what they're going to be looking for, what their experience has been with, you know, container deployments and things of that nature. And we also have in the wings a couple of other hackathon judges who are not judging this event, who I'm hoping to come on and give some advice about, like, what were the great submissions they've seen in past hackathons, what were the pitfalls and mistakes they've seen people making when they've created projects for hackathons, to try and provide some advice and guidance along the way so that people don't step on those bear traps as they're working towards this one. So yeah, we're going to be doing a whole raft of things, and I'm going to be breaking down the 5 best security practices for your production-ready containers, and I'll be covering each of those, each one in its own stream, and because spoiler alert, there's more than 5. But broadly speaking, but it will be reiterating, you know, the basics of container best practice to how that transposes to security best practice, and how you can use our tools to level up that sort of best practice into really world class. Because we were talking on stream yesterday, Stephen and I don't think Stephen had seen this, but if you're a supplier to the DoD right now, and the way that you supply software to the DoD is via containers, there is now a requirement that you can't ship them containers that have any known vulnerabilities in them, which is a very high bar to clear. So that's kind of like, this is just one of the changes in our industry that we're seeing, that we're trying to advocate for and educate people about how to level up how they distribute their software, so that they don't fall foul of these new regulations and what could well become legislation in some parts of the world.
Yeah, I remember the congressional bill that was out there that was talking about that, and even like CISA, I think, which is the, you know, kind of cybersecurity intelligence agency here, that is kind of the governing body. You know, they have quotes that say, you know, not having any vulnerabilities isn't really realistic. They happen, you know, and that's kind of their guidance. So actually in the container report, which I was teasing earlier and which will be out on Tuesday, has found some really, really interesting findings through surveying developers about how their customers are talking to them about this sort of zero vulnerability paradigm. So yeah, a super interesting topic, and cool that that'll get teased out in the hackathon. So
yeah.
So Crossbow says the winner's announcement is on his on their birthday. So happy birthday! I don't think that's part of the judging criteria that you get extra points for having it be on your birthday, but I mean, it can't hurt, right? So
yeah. And I also see Takov's just joined us. Hello, Takov. And that springs into my mind. Hey, I could do some squad matchmaking here. Yannick, Takov could help fill like a gap in your container skills, and you could bring some developer skills. You could be a winning combination. I've just seen that idea, and I'll let you figure out the details.
Well, and I know Mac has school, but Mac comes up with some really, really creative hackathon projects. So
Yeah.
if homework isn't too much of a burden for him, then I definitely recommend Mac as a great view, and Supabase. If you're looking for a good Supabase integrator, Mac has some really awesome tutorials on that. So yeah, cool.
Yeah, and whilst I obviously can't enter because one, I'm a Slimming employee and a judge, I have kicked off a container related project which doesn't quite fit this bill, but it does kind of, because it's using containers in a new way to create build environments for local builds and also for builds in CI/CD. So it's basically lifting a local workflow but making it possible to run exactly that same workflow in, say, GitHub, for example. And Danny, who is one of our judges, has been very helpful in helping adapt some of the work that I started and turning it into this thing that can become a more modular tool. So I'm going, and it's called Machine Spawn, and I'm going to be doing a little bit of that on streams as well to sort of demonstrate it doesn't have to be Docker, because this is a container technology that is not Docker, but it helps make clean, reproducible build environments, which is one of the many bits of, creating secure containers.
Yeah. Well, and it is one of the cool things that, a lot of people ask us, like, okay, what if I want to use Podman, or what if I want to use some other container builder? And like our Docker Slim open source project does require that you have the Docker daemon running and all of that. But if you were to build a OCI compliant container, I believe you can use our SaaS to minify that still. So that means that, now you have sort of another alternative. And if you're been using Docker for a while, you want to use this hackathon as an excuse to try building something in Podman and seeing how that goes, sure, cool. That sounds like an interesting project.
Yeah.
So,
and I mean, it's slightly out of the scope of some of the ideas we've had, but I hear a lot. It would be lovely to run Podman, have Docker Slim operate via Podman. Maybe that's the hackathon idea. I mean, it's all helping making secure production ready containers. So there are other ways to sort of come at this with some interesting ways to sort of improve the tooling. So if you're sitting there thinking, I really want to use Podman with Docker Slim and I can't, well, maybe you just work on that bit and then next year you come back with your killer web app.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, Takoff says that he's looking into helping out with some of the documentation on Docker Slim. I don't think that's related to the hackathon, but yeah, we can definitely, PR is welcome on Docker Slim. Obviously, BigPod is the one to communicate with on our side. He kind of runs the whole Docker Slim developer experience side of the house. So always looking for improvements and welcome them there. And Danny says, I'll be particularly interested to see well-automated build and deploy and well-architected cloud-native app with multiple containers involved. Yeah, definitely. That's it's been kind of the golden goose of this stream for a little bit, as we kind of built our Containers 101 and we evolved into Docker Compose and adding databases and adding a front end and a back end and keeping them isolated, and then adding Nginx on the front end of it so that we had some ingress control. And I mean, I'm just excited to learn from people in the hackathon about how they're doing that.
Well,
and
indeed.
How they're, wiring that up to CI/CD and all that kind of stuff. So,
and in fact, Stephen touched on an example like this yesterday, because one of the projects he's been working on was optimizing the sort of the Mongo stack, and that was how do you use Docker Slim to use a Docker Compose as your input for minimizing a suite of containers that operate as a logical whole. So that was quite a challenging one as well. It was definitely had us head scratching for a bit that one.
I think he took on a lot in that one, right? Because I think typically we've talked about slimming the application, where he was looking at the Go backend that was communicating with Mongo worked really well. I think the slimming was quite straightforward on that one, but the Mongo database, which is much more complex and, has this sort of input output dynamic and all of that, can be much more challenging. So yeah, it was cool to see him do that.
And to sort of segue with Aisha's container report, and something again Stephen and I were talking about yesterday, is there are some very popular container images published by significant, projects that have many thousands of vulnerabilities in them. And one way you could tackle this is maybe you don't create a new web app or whatever. Maybe you actually contribute to one of those projects into their build processes, a way to harden and minimize and optimize their containers that they're shipping by default. So that's another consideration. Maybe there's a project out there you depend upon, and if you run that through our vulnerability scanner on the Slim.AI platform, maybe you find that there's a bunch. Like I was doing this last week. I looked at one of the containers from the Docker hackathon, the extension hackathon, and found there were some vulnerabilities that got highlighted. Turns out they were really easy to fix just by bumping the revision of a couple of packages, and all of their test suite still passed. So, that was low-hanging fruit.
Yep. Yeah, no, and BigPod and I were looking at a Drupal container recently and slimming that, which was pretty interesting, right? Because it's a pretty robust app, and all of those, Alfresco, I talked about last at the Docker hackathon, WordPress, one of the most popular containers. So I'll be interested to see if somebody does like a CMS system or something like that, and see what slimming looks like for that.
Right.
Because it's one of those things that's it comes pretty fully baked, pretty fully instrumented as a container, because they're giving it to everybody to use. But once you've kind of got the bits of it that you need, there's a lot of stuff in it that you don't. So an automated process, and you don't want to go into all the Drupal code one by one and figure out how to get rid of stuff. You want to kind of have an automated process to do that.
So you're getting my brain whirring here. So Danny, Danny is a long time WordPress contributor. So in fact, Danny and I are going to get to spend some time together in a couple of weeks, because we're both going to Prague. So Danny, maybe you and I can have a chat about that idea. Maybe where if you're prepared to come on stream with us here, maybe we could take a look at like WordPress as a container deployment and see if there's anything we could learn from that and improve. I know you're going to be busy in Prague, but I do get to sit next to you on the plane there and back, so there's plenty of time to chat. Plenty of time to chat. In fact, longer than that, because I'm driving you to the airport and back again as well.
Danny just changed seats on the plane.
Your captive audience. Your captive audience. Right, now I'm sure some of you will be thinking, because if you're not asking questions now, maybe you're watching this after the fact on YouTube or whatever. If you've got questions, above my head, find our Discord, drop in there, ask questions. We'll be more than happy to give some advice and guidance on your idea. Well, we're not going to give ideas, but we'll certainly mentor as best as we can. And we'll start to assemble a team of assistants as this gets underway. Is there anything else you want to add before we move on?
Yeah, no, just plus one. That one, as people dive into the tools, Slim.AI, we're still, pretty early stage company, built on an open source project. The platform that we have is in beta, so you might run into corner cases, you might have challenges with the documentation I've written or the way we frame things in the portal. So just ask questions. We'll help you out with the tools and all that kind of stuff. And we also have a Docker desktop extension, so that would be good. And I know Corison, when he watched our Docker desktop extension stream, said he wanted to build one of those. Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect project.
So another great idea here is, yes, make a Docker desktop extension, but maybe what you could do is focus on how other people can do this and make minified, hardened Docker desktop extension containers, because they are all containers at the end of the day, and I don't think many of them are. So that would be an interesting one. In fact, I'm going to message you, because I might feed you an idea. Maybe I'm not allowed to do that. I need to consider my role here, but I've got a great idea. I got a great idea for you.
Lindsay's going to be the judge of the judges, so she can keep you straight on the rules. But...
Yeah, I saw Yannick on Twitter trying to figure out who he could bribe to win the other day.
There's no bribing.
Right.
So.
Okay.
All right.
I think that covers everything. Is that happy with that?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's great. And we will see everybody. I don't think we'll be streaming next week because you're out and I'm at KubeCon.
Yeah.
We will see everybody on Monday, Halloween, for a special stream. Oh, yes.
Oh, dear.
Yes.
Oh, dear.
Yes. There are costumes on order. The winner of the Halloween theme is Evil Blues Clues. And as was voted in our Discord channel, so I didn't have anything to do with this at all. It wasn't me setting this up. And so what we're going to do, and here's the preview, and we will have some awesome graphics for this, I'm sure, at some point. Blue Team's Clues, right? So Martin and Steven are going to be the blue team. It's going to be a blue team, red team, like cybersecurity, hacking setup to the theme of Blue's Clues, the famous American children's television show, but with an evil, cursed bent to it. So this is going to be the theme. I'm going to be the red team. I'm going to be setting up hacking challenges for the blue team, and they need to try to foil me by finding the clues in the messed up, cursed containers that I have set up. So are we ready? Yes.
I'm not ready. I wasn't ready last year. I haven't recovered from last year. There is a video on our YouTube channel. It's a very Halloween-y video. I think I was saying I've never celebrated Halloween so much as I have since being at Slim.AI. We don't really do it here, so it's a bit of a culture shock for me.
It's one of my favorite holidays, and I've got some bats in the background here. But I think what we need from the community, if you have ideas, hit us in Discord, is we need a title for the movie. So last year was Cursed Containers. So this year we need like Cursed Containers, the sequel. And then we need the sequel name. So if people have ideas, let us know. Yeah,
please do. And Monica, I will contact you to get some cultural orientation on what this thing is, because I really don't understand. Right then, well, with that, we are going to go raiding. We're going to go and see Ben Holmes, who's doing some Astro Dev, I think. So let's get that process started. Thank you all for coming. There will be some stuff happening next week with Big Pod, so stick around for that. Like we said, October the 31st is an unmissable event. So thank you all for coming. See you soon. Ask questions in Discord. We'll be happy to help. Bye bye for now.
All right. Sounds good. See ya.